Carrie Fisher will always be linked to the image of Princess Leia, a woman who never lowered her gaze and never waited to be saved. On screen, she was sharp, fearless, and brilliantly defiant. Yet, behind the fame was a much more complicated reality. Carrie was not only a symbol of strength, but also a deeply sensitive person navigating pressures few could understand. Success came early, before she had space to grow into herself. The world expected confidence without cracks, perfection without pause. Her public smile often hid private battles with self-doubt, anxiety, and the exhausting feeling of never quite being enough. What makes her story so haunting is the contrast. Admired by millions, yet often feeling alone inside her own life. Her legacy begins not as a fantasy princess, but as a real woman learning how to survive. Born into the spotlight, Carrie Fisher was born on October 21st, 1956, in Beverly Hills, into a family where fame was not a dream, but a constant condition. Her mother, Debbie Reynolds, was a beloved star, and her father, Eddie Fisher, was one of America's most popular singers. From the beginning, Carrie's life existed under public attention. Even as a child, she could not experience privacy in the way most people do. When she was only 2, her parents' marriage ended in a scandal that the media eagerly consumed. Her father's departure left an absence that shaped her early emotional world. Carrie grew up primarily with her mother and brother, surrounded by the busy movement of show business. Home was never fully quiet, and stability often felt fragile. That early mixture of glamour and disruption planted contradictions she carried for life. Searching for stability through words, Carrie's childhood unfolded across changing schools, travel, and a household filled with the demands of performance. Education mattered, but it often competed with the rhythm of entertainment life. She attended several schools, including Beverly Hills High, yet never stayed long enough to feel rooted. In that instability, Carrie found refuge in books. Reading became her private space, one of the few places where she could observe the world without being watched in return. Literature offered her calm when life outside felt unpredictable. At a young age, she also began performing alongside her mother, stepping onto stages before she had time to fully understand herself. The spotlight arrived early, but it did not bring safety. Instead, it demanded maturity too soon. Carrie learned discipline, but she also learned that being seen did not always mean being understood. The role that changed everything before Star Wars, Carrie made her film debut in Shampoo in 1975, proving she could stand as an actress beyond her famous parents. Still, Hollywood hesitated, unsure how to define her. Then came the casting of Star Wars, a process far more uncertain than fans imagine. Carrie competed against well-known names, and even George Lucas was unsure at first. What ultimately won the role was her sharp delivery and the intelligence she brought into Leia's voice. She did not play a helpless princess. She played someone commanding. When Star Wars premiered in 1977, it became a cultural earthquake. At only 19, Carrie was thrust into global fame. Overnight, she became a symbol larger than herself. The world celebrated Leia, but Carrie was suddenly carrying expectations no teenager could easily hold. Fame and its quiet weight. With worldwide success came relentless scrutiny. Carrie faced intense pressure about appearance, something that deeply affected her self-image. The entertainment industry can be unforgiving, especially toward young women, and Carrie was no exception. Iconic elements of Leia's look became pop culture obsession, but for Carrie, they sometimes felt like a loss of control over her own body and identity. As the Star Wars films continued, the demands increased: publicity, schedules, expectations to remain frozen in one image. Behind the humor she used so well was exhaustion. Carrie's wit became armor, a way to reclaim power when the world reduced her to surface-level symbolism. While audiences saw an immortal heroine, Carrie was privately navigating the cost of being turned into an icon before she had the chance to simply be a person. Finding her voice beyond acting. After the original trilogy, Carrie faced a difficult paradox. She was too famous to disappear, yet Hollywood rarely knew how to use a woman as sharp and unconventional as she was. Roles came unevenly, and the shadow of Leia followed her everywhere. Instead of fighting for space only on screen, Carrie shifted toward writing, where she could control the story. In 1987, she released Postcards from the Edge, a bold and deeply personal novel that became a bestseller. The book proved her voice was not limited to acting. It was literary, incisive, and fearless. When the film adaptation followed, Carrie helped shape it, confirming her brilliance as a storyteller. From that point on, she became known not only as an actress, but as a writer who could turn pain into language with weight, humour, and truth. The hidden work of a brilliant mind, Carrie Fisher's influence in Hollywood extended far beyond what most people saw. She became one of the industry's most sought-after script doctors, quietly improving dialogue and strengthening characters in major films. Projects like Sister Act, The Wedding Singer, and others benefited from her sharp understanding of human rhythm. Much of this work happened without public credit, but Carrie understood that real power often lives behind the curtain. At the same time, she began sharing her own life through performance and memoir. Shows like Wishful Drinking blended comedy and confession in a way that made audiences laugh and then suddenly fall silent. Carrie spoke openly about struggle, identity, and survival without asking permission. Her honesty was not meant to shock, it was meant to free. In a world built on illusion, Carrie chose truth. Living openly with mental health challenges. Carrie's life was also shaped by mental health struggles, something she spoke about with rare openness. She did not romanticize pain, nor did she hide it. Over time, she became an important voice for people who felt unseen. Her honesty helped reduce shame for many who lived with similar challenges. Carrie understood that survival was not always dramatic. It was often daily, quiet, and difficult. She approached her experiences with humour, but also with clarity. Speaking publicly did not erase hardship, but it allowed her to reclaim ownership of her story. She refused to be reduced to either tragedy or inspiration. Instead, she lived in complexity, showing that strength can coexist with vulnerability. Carrie's legacy in this space remains powerful because she made room for conversations that culture often avoids. Returning as Leia, standing as herself, when Carrie returned in The Force Awakens, it was not simply nostalgia, it was a new chapter. Leia was no longer a young, rebel princess, but a leader marked by experience. Carrie brought depth to that role because she herself had lived through so much. The industry once again placed expectations on her appearance, but this time Carrie pushed back publicly, refusing to let aging be treated as failure. She stood firmly as herself, reminding audiences that worth is not tied to youth. Her presence in the new trilogy carried emotional weight, both for fans and for Carrie personally. Leia became a symbol of endurance, and Carrie's performance reflected the truth of someone who had survived storms unseen by the public. She returned not as a fantasy, but as a woman still standing. A legacy that will never fade. Carrie Fisher's legacy cannot be contained in one role, one franchise, or one image. She left behind something far more lasting: permission for people to be honest, complicated, and unafraid. On screen, she changed what female characters could be: bold, intelligent, unapologetic. Off-screen, she changed what honesty could look like in public life. She spoke openly about struggles, used humour as light in dark places, and refused to polish her story into something convenient. Carrie did not try to be perfect. She tried to be real. That is why she remains so deeply loved. Her influence lives in every woman who refuses to shrink, in every person who speaks about mental health without whispering, and in every survivor who understands that simply continuing can be its own victory. Carrie Fisher is gone, but her truth remains.